Okay, hey guys, my name is Brandon Burbank. I'm so excited to be here, and let's just talk about mental health today. But it's also going to be covering aspects of my own personal journey. So, to start with, I'm going to talk about five different components today. Number one, I'm going to talk about hospitalizations and what that entailed in my own journey. I'm going to talk about my halfway house experience and what that entailed. I'm going to talk about mental health treatment program, homelessness and homelessness recovery, and then return to work phase. But before I do that, I want to talk to you more about my upbringing so that you can understand more about where I've come from and how I've been able to develop myself as an individual. I grew up in Whatcom County. Most of my life was here in Whatcom County, and I had a wonderful childhood and a wonderful upbringing with a lot of supportive people in my life. And it was really a positive aspect for myself because I could do a lot of things, challenge myself, and I really had a lot of support. So if I did go, straight down a wrong path, I was able to easily correct that. And so with that being said, I've been able to grow from and feel appreciative of my upbringing because not every child gets the wonderful upbringing and a wonderful childhood experience. With that being said, I ended up studying abroad after I graduated from high school back in 2016. And when I returned home from studying abroad, I went into a deep depression. I went through challenges with my mental health for the first time in my that was really severe. And so I ended up going through depression, and then it led to a manic episode, and then I ended up in the hospital and back in spring of 2016 for the first time in my whole entire life. Now, I was a 19-year-old, so I was trying to figure out how I'm gonna make a difference in my life and grow and still trying to figure out how to be successful in my own way. And for me, I was also very in a state of denial. Like I didn't want to ask people for help. And that's the hard part that I struggled with is that even though I struggled with these challenges, it has made me who I am today, but it doesn't fully define who I am because I'm the one that gets to decide how I live my life and how I can become the best version of myself and grow and become sustainable. So the hospitalization was a very difficult experience for me, and I was there for a couple of weeks before I then was um, discharged, and I had to learn how to grow and how to build momentum again and ask myself, how do I get better? Now, unfortunately, I never learned my lesson in a lot of these challenges, and so I had to go through multiple hospitalizations. In fact, my last hospitalization was back in 2022, in the winter time, actually in the fall. And so that's where I had to start asking myself, how do I get better? How do I work on myself? How do I give myself that transparency to get better, but then also to recognize there's a condition that I have to be aware of? And so that's where I've started to give myself more grace and empathy and asking myself, how do I grow? How do I change? And how can I be successful? Because you guys, my goal is to be what I'm doing right now, being a speaker. I want to be able to inspire other people, give people more of a feedback to recognize that they're not alone. In fact, according to NAMI, 1 in 5 adult Americans is living with a mental illness. According to the National Institute of Mental Health, over 50 million Americans are living with a mental illness. And I'm in that category. And because of that, it gives me motivation and passion to want to serve this target demographic here in America and beyond. And there's a lot of other people who can relate to some of the challenges that I've gone through. And I've had to give myself a lot of grace to say you can get better and that I'm not going to be victimhood to my circumstances. I'm not going to be always on the ground and always depressed and feeling like I can't succeed. That's the reason why I got back into school recently. So I'm working on a bachelor's degree to help myself open up more doors of opportunity so that I can transform my life and continue to serve the mental health community. Now, this has been an ongoing process. It's taken me, I started speaking professionally back in 2021 in Long Beach, California. I took it some time to live in Long Beach, California, as well as in Seattle, Washington. And that was a very transformative experience for me because it helped my own mental health journey. It helped me view my life from different angles. It helped me view life from different perspectives so that I can better equip myself to serve other people and make a difference in the lives of other people who have mental health challenges. My other job that I'm working for this kind of goes to the return to work phase. I'm working as a generalist at the Walk-In Clubhouse here in Bellingham, Washington, and I'm serving the mental health community by doing that, by being able to have conversations that are intentional as well as helpful, as well as just being able to socialize with other people who have a mental illness and giving them hope and inspiration that they're not alone, that they have other people in their corner who want to see them grow and succeed. And so by being able to recognize that you're not alone and having a lot of support from other people, that's the really the greatest source of support that you could have if you have a mental illness and if you're struggling with your mental health. And that's what I've learned. So we're going to sidestep and go back to the halfway house. So back in 2017, I was hospitalized for a couple of weeks again. And this was another hard experience for me because I was struggling to figure out how to manage my condition of bipolar disorder. And for me, the highs and the lows were so different. And I had to start to learn to accept what I'm experiencing right now and asking for help from the right people and not just the whole world, but just like being able to recognize that there's a few people in my corner that I can look out to for support and having that source of understanding so that I can succeed. So that's what I ended up doing. And then after I was discharged, I ended up living in a halfway house, which was for me, it was a traumatizing experience, but I learned a lot from this experience and I learned how to better ask for help and recognize that I can't do this by myself, that I need other people in my life so that I can succeed, so that I can be well, so that I can thrive in life and get back to a place to where I'm actually happy and able to recognize that I'm not alone. So in the halfway house, it was like a here in Bellingham, Washington, it was like it's an outpatient mental health treatment center as well. And in this halfway house, the reason why I felt so traumatized and going through these challenges is because of the fact that I felt alone. I felt alone, severely alone, and felt isolated, and I felt lonely as well. And so these are hard things that I had to understand and recognize that I'm not alone, that I have other people in my corner. And that's where I started to reach out to other people for support. I started to ask other people, hey, can we just have a conversation? I want to just continue working on myself and I want to be intentional about our conversation with our relationship. And that's what's helped me grow tremendously at the age of 28, where I'm at now, and giving myself that grace to try new things and try other people and having different conversations with intentional goals. And so that's what's helped me with the halfway house. But then after that, luckily, I was able to. I had the blessing opportunity because my parents were able to support this trip, and I went to Atlanta, Georgia, and I stayed in Skyland Trail. It's a mental health treatment program in Atlanta where they help focus primarily on helping people who have mental illness and challenges with substance abuse, and giving people more support and recognizing that you're not alone. And by being there, even though I didn't want to actually be there, now that I reflect on that experience, it's given me so much of an understanding to recognize that I can be successful and that I have other people in my corner who can help guide me in the process. But it's also going to have to come from myself because I'm going to have to be willing to try new things and try different angles and different outlets to give myself that growth aspect and changing my own narrative and my mindset. That's taken me years because when you're first diagnosed, I was diagnosed at the age of 19. I was first diagnosed with this condition. I was like, no, I don't have this condition. And so now it's like as it's been more years in time that has progressed, I'm starting to realize that, okay, how is this condition? How do we work on it? And then how do we continue to be living a happy and healthy lifestyle? I think that's the goal for a lot of us in our lives is just to live a happy and healthy life. And the sad part is that millions of Americans who have a diagnosis are struggling. And so that's the reason why I've been through challenges. I've been through up and down, depression, anxiety, severe paranoia, just challenges, hospitalizations, all these things, homelessness, all these things that have been part of my story. They've helped build me up and they've helped me to not quit on my dreams. And this is such a surreal moment for me because I mean I'm trying so hard to keep my dream alive so that I can be an inspiration for other people and give them hope and inspiration, whether it be in the workplace environment, helping people in the corporate level, or just at the individual level and helping people who have challenges with their own mental health. Regardless of where that's at, that's where I'm standing for myself and giving myself that ability to not give up and say to myself, there is hope and that I will start to get opportunities to help change the lives of other people. I feel like my story is powerful, guys. And so that's the reason why I want to give more inspiration and tell people that you can succeed and you can start to change your mindset. There's a book that I will recommend that just really comes to mind right now, hits home for me. It's called Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill. And although it talks a lot about how to become very wealthy and very successful, it also talks about how to formulate your ideas, formulate your mindset, and that will help give you more of an approach to change your life and to build success from your challenges and to not fall victimhood to your circumstances. And so I would definitely recommend everybody if you are interested in learning on about mental health, but also from a mindset standpoint to help you figure out what you want to do for your career path and how you want to um, include yourself to help other people and also to help yourself. That's a great book to consider. Okay, so the halfway house and then the mental health treatment program, Skyline Trail. Back to what I was saying though, with the process of this is that it's helped me gain more momentum. And because I'm living back in Bellingham, I returned home from living in Long Beach about over 2 years ago. So now I'm here in Bellingham trying to gain more opportunities to share my message of hope and inspiration. But I'm gonna go back, do a sidestep again, go back to the homelessness and homelessness recovery. What that entailed was very difficult. So I was living in Seattle and then I moved to Long Beach, California for 2 years. And but the challenging part is that I was struggling to make ends meet and I wasn't and I didn't have a job lined up that I was and then I was struggling to get a job back in California. So I made the hard decision to move back to Bellingham, my hometown, Washington. And but then the hard part is that I thought that I could do it all on my own and I didn't and I needed support from other people. And so the hard part with that entailed with that is that I ended up being homeless for about a month. Before then, I was hospitalized after that for like almost 25 days, 24 days. So it was a very testing and difficult situation for me that I had to adjust with. And so let me talk to you more about the homelessness situation. There's a lot of other people that go through challenges with mental health who might be homeless or who have been homeless, so they can relate. And so when you've been homeless, it's like you're alone. And it's like you're just trying to figure out your life and trying to build up more success, but it's hard to do that because you don't have a steady place to just sit down and to sleep and to have um, that structure in your life. So that's the reason why I've been able to change my own mindset and really accept that there's a lot of other people that are doing worse off than me. And so that's where I have to give myself constantly growing and giving myself a lot of positive attitudes to accept that I'm not alone. And so that's what helped me. My persistence and my faith in myself is what helped me get through that situation and start to and to even though I didn't feel like I needed the help, I had no other choice but to go to the hospital. And then I stayed in the hospital for like 24 days, 25 days. And then that was back to the homelessness recovery. I ended up staying in a it's like an outpatient treatment, but it was very, very well organized. It's called the Sun House here in Bellingham, Washington. And that was also another great place for me to just gain more momentum and start to rebuild because I fell so hard and it was such a testing and it caused so much mental discomfort by being in the hospital, by being homeless, like feeling like I'm in fight or flight for so long. And there's a lot of other people that are dealing with that same issue or have gone through these challenges. And so my point is that just to give people more hope, Let's give people more inspiration. Let's give people ideas that will help them change their lives. Aspects that so that they can become the best versions of themselves, and knowing that we all need help in a way, and we all want supportive people. So that's where we just need to change the conversation, change the narrative, so we can be more positive with each other around the topic of mental health. And here's the thing, folks, is that if you are dealing with certain people in your life and they're not being supportive, they don't need to be in your life. You need to be able to recognize that it comes from your own life, that you get to choose who you want in your life. And whether if it's family, that's another perspective, because a lot of people, family is important. I believe that. I'm a family man myself. But other people that you might interact with, you don't need to have toxic people in your life, because life is already difficult enough as it is. So why continue having toxic people in your life? That's my other take, is that to give you another perspective, to so that you can start to see that your life is valuable. The things that you can contribute, I can't contribute. The way that you think, the way that you provide value to other people, whether it be in the mental health field, whether it be in your own career path, whether it be in how you communicate, it's different. And that's where we have to start embracing our own flaws. And that's what I've done, folks, is that I've literally rebuilt, shattered, rebuilt, shattered my challenges with my life, and I continue to get back up with myself and telling myself I can succeed. I'm not going to give up on myself. I've worked too hard to quit. I've literally staked my life on this speaking business so that I can help other people. And even though sometimes I might be very like a little bit intense sometimes, but that's the passion speaking. That's my passion speaking, because I'm so like driven, and been through the thick and thin, the challenges with mental health. So now transitioning to the next process with return to work phase, and what that all entails. The return to work phase for me was very transformative, and as well is very helpful. I ended up joining the Whatcom Clubhouse as a mental health generalist last July of 2024. And as I've been able to be part of this organization, I've been able to help a lot of people by giving them perspective and having intentional and tangible conversations, because I'm somebody that can relate to them. I'm somebody that can relate to these challenges. And I don't know what the future holds for my speaking business. But all I know is that I want to keep trying. I'm going to keep trying. I'm going to keep working on myself, and keep redefining myself, and having to give myself that grace to say, you know what, you've been through a lot, but we can keep trying, and there's still hope. And so going back to my condition, I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder. That's a condition that's very severe, and if you think about it. And so I've had to start giving myself grace and telling myself, how do I be successful with this condition? In other words, the fine line of this is this. I've been able to turn my flaws into my greatest successes. And so there's other people obviously in this world that can relate to an extent of what I've been through. And because of that, I've turned my flaws into my greatest successes. Think about that for a moment, and how you are in your own life, your flaws, how can you turn your biggest flaws and struggles into your greatest successes? That's the question that I feel like would help a lot of people, so that they can find their own lane, find their own path, so that's going to help them be successful. And so my return to work phase is definitely still ongoing. I'm still in school right now. I'm working part-time at the Whatcom Clubhouse, and I'm trying to continue to be more sustainable, as well as a source of support in the community, by going out and doing speeches, and being very bold and blunt as well, but also but also relatable, because I don't want to I know that this might cause people to feel a little bit unsure, or uncomfortable, but that's part of the growing process. And so by being able to recognize that mental health awareness is important, and there's millions and millions and millions of Americans who are impacted by this topic, eventually it's going to start to help a lot of other people. And so my hope is that this this speech presentation today has given you a wake-up call. What's something in your life that you're lacking? How can you treat yourself more with kindness and giving yourself grace and recognizing that you're not alone? My story is unique, so is yours. The things that you've been through are special. The things that you can achieve and do are only unique to yourself. Don't deny yourself of the ability to accept and embrace more of who you are as a person and continue to work on yourself, being kind to yourself, being optimistic and strong. So in wrapping up, we covered five different components. We covered hospitalizations, the halfway house experience, mental health treatment program, homelessness and homelessness recovery, and return to work phase. So my hope is that this presentation can give you more inspiration, hope, and peace of mind in recognizing that you're not alone and that you can succeed and overcome your obstacles.